Yeah, it must have been very harrowing experience.
Yeah, it was scary, scary. His daughter is here, thank God, and that
Yeah,
helped. Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you.
that,
I will
yeah,
tell them.
yeah,
एक
please.
कल बात करें, कल
हाँ कल अभी 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 8 बजे शुरू होता है तो 8 से 9।
शुरू करें? Shall we start?
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. विदिताखिलशास्त्रसुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं चरणं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं. Somehow different tune has gotten into the head, but doesn't matter. So there are many tunes, so this one somehow came, but doesn't matter. We are on verse 2 now. Karunavaruණालय पालय मां भवसागर दुःख विदून हृदं रचयाखिल दर्शन तत्त्वविदं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम्. So here the second verse is very beautiful, because even though it's a eulogy or a praise of Bhagavan Adi Shankara, it at the same time Totakacharya manages to give the message of Vedanta, how Vedanta is communicated, and how Vedanta is disseminated. The methodology is given, and very, very beautifully it captures the teaching of Vedanta and the nuances involved in this particular teaching. It captures extremely well. And so let us look at this verse. Just see the meaning first. So Karuna, everybody knows, compassion. And then Varuna means rain. Varuna is water, but here it means rain. Varuna is rain, and Karuna, of course, as we know, is compassion. And then Alaya. Alaya means an abode. The residence or an abode, of what? Of compassion. And we'll see that. And then what the rain is doing there also we will see. Palaya. Palaya means please protect me, take care of me. Mom, me. And then, and who is this me is given in the second line. The second line is not a description of Adi Shankara. It is a description of the author himself. So it elaborates on what kind of me that needs this palanam, that needs this taking care of. This is what it shows, and very beautiful. So bhavasagara dukkha viduna hridam. With dukkha vidu bhavas, actually it's one word. Bhavasagara dukkha viduna hrit is the word. Bhavasagara dukkha viduna hridam. The one viduna is the here from du, fifth conjugation, dunoti, afflicted, terribly afflicted, affected, encircled by what? Bhavasagara. Bhavasagara, bhava as we know is samsara. In fact, that's also the name of Lord Shiva. Bhavaya Namaha. And so this is what in the 108 names of Lord Shiva, this one comes, this nama comes, Bhavaya Namaha. So Bhava is samsara, so the one who extinguishes samsara, or the one because of whom there is no more samsara, is called Bhava. But here Bhava means samsara. Bhava to become here, Bhava to become. So Bhava means this life of becoming more, wanting to become this life of strife, becoming richer, becoming more famous, wanting to have more friends or likes on Facebook, or accumulating something or the other, wanting something or the other. This is a life of becoming, and this life of becoming is what is very unbecoming, because the becoming process has put one fairly and squarely in the place of fulfilling raga dveshas. And it comes from the premise, this wanting to become something other than what one is comes from the premise of feeling that one is not enough. There is insecurity centered on the self. There is this conviction, I am not enough, whatever I have is not enough, whatever I am is not enough. And so this sense of lack gives rise to self-loath, gives rise to self-critique, gives rise to fears, gives rise to tears, all these things. And this itself is at the center of this whole, what is that called? This whole situation. And what is that situation? Samsara. That is the situation, no other situation. And this samsara is due to self-ignorance. Animals don't have samsara. Yeah, animals are part of our samsara, but they don't have samsara. There is no samsara for animals. That's why they are called muktaha. In Nepal, there is one Muktinath temple. And this is, this is Pashupatinath, Muktinath. This is what it is. Because they live in the world of Bhagavan. They live according to the laws of Bhagavan. When they're supposed to eat, they eat, and then they live a life, they reproduce, they die. That's all it is. And they have a few desires. And the dog will say, okay, I want to bury this bone for later. But you don't find the dog saying, I need to get more bones for my puppies, for seven generation of puppies. I need to make sure that they have a good life. This the human being does. Never enough. I have enough for the family. Is it enough? No. What about the children? What about the grandchildren? What about the great grandchildren? One keeps on accumulating. And so this is, this samsara is a very special condition for the human being, brought about by self-ignorance. And this is very, very extremely important to recognize, that the self-ignorance is what is the perpetrator of what we call samsara. And samyak sarati iti samsara, that which keeps on going and going and going, and keeps you going and going and going. There's no other thing. Keeps you going, makes you going, keeps on going. And going where? Nowhere. Round and round. That's what happens. That's why I keep saying, if you don't have a goal in life, you keep going, goal, goal. Goal, goal in Hindi means round and round. This is what happens. And so here, Totakacharya is so how to break with this? Of course, Vedanta Sharanagati, Guru Sharanagati. We saw that in the last, line, in the last verse. So Vimalam Charanam, you place it in your heart. But of course, the heart has to be, first you have to do a little sadhana in terms of the preparing the heart to receive the feet of the teacher, signifying the teachings. And then in order for that to happen, what do you have to do? To make sure that the heart is free, and the heart is has got some space to receive the feet of the teacher, which in the beginning look small because you don't know the meaning of what the feet of the teacher represent. But like the Vamana dwarf who grew into Mahavishnu, the feet of the teacher represent the knowledge, and the knowledge is infinite. It occupies your whole, it occupies you, the ahamkara. It puts, when the feet of the teacher put on the head, put in the heart, then, the ahamkara is sent to where it belongs, to rule over the unconscious and to resolve the unconscious, to be a servant to this knowledge rather than try to be the master of this knowledge. That is the key to self-mastery. And so we've already seen that. And so then in verse number 2, Totakacharya eulogizes Adi Shankara as a storehouse of compassion. Karunalaya. And we see this, Alayam Karunalayam, in the praise song for Adi Shankara, we see that. Alayam Karunalayam. So here, Karunalaya, an abode of compassion, a storehouse, a warehouse of compassion. All the jivas, everybody, all the other human beings are also a warehouse of compassion because that is one's nature. Except the spelling is different. Where is spelled W-H-E-R-E because that compassion is not immediately accessible. It is inhibited, clouded over by the debris of raga, dvesha, fears, tears, all these things. So in case of other human beings, it's the warehouse of compassion. Where, oh, where is this compassion? But for Adi Shankara, it's the storehouse, warehouse of compassion. And that would have been enough to say, Karunalaya Palayama. But then where did this Varuna come from? Very interesting. Because and then sometimes people translate this line as this compound as the storehouse of an ocean of compassion, or Varuna means any body of water. That would not be wrong, but we have to see we have to always, in the process of translation, make sure that what we are translating is in keeping with the context. So if you translate Varuna as a body of water, it's not doing anything to our verse. It's not adding to it. It's not, making it come alive in any way. Almost the word Varuna seems to be redundant. Ocean is also a storehouse, and then Alaya is also a storehouse. So Karuna, Varuna, Alaya, it doesn't make, if you to translate it as a storehouse of the ocean of knowledge, I mean, it seems a little awkward even, and at best redundant. So therefore, Varuna has to be looked upon as rain, and then you will see what happens to this line. You will see what a transformation this line takes place. A storehouse of raining compassion. Now you see, now you already, I don't even need to say anything more. You see that this line has become activated now. It has become more dynamic rather than static. A storehouse, a warehouse of raining compassion. Why? Because the compassion can be there in the heart, like I said. Everybody is a storehouse of compassion. Even the most uncompassionately behaving person by nature is a storehouse of compassion, because that is the nature, that is one's potential, that is what is there. But if it is covered up by the eclipse of Atma Ajnanam and Anyatha Ajnanam, mistaking oneself to be what one is not, then the compassion, is of no use. What is the use of having a compassion stored in the heart? Like I said yesterday, oh, it's your birthday? Yes. Aren't you going to wish me happy birthday? No, but believe me, I have a lot of love for you and compassion for you in the heart. What use is this? No use. An unaccessed compassion is as good as an absent compassion. So the compassion is common to all. It is one's nature. Love is one's nature. Love is, compassion in action is love. Love is one's nature. Unconditional compassion is one's nature. Kindness is one's nature. And they have some, what is that, sticker on the back of the car, on the bumper, there is one sticker. And it says, practice random acts of kindness. I've never understood that. What other kind of kindness is there? If I practice a kindness, for instance, if I practice an act of kindness in the hope that the other person is also going to be kind to me, that's not kindness. That is a calculated effort at self-survival. That is another form of samsara. So somebody is sick, okay? Then I take some soup for them. And they're very happy. Oh, I hope you feel better soon, I say, and we are extremely happy. And then what? We have to look at the motivations of why I felt compelled to take this soup. Is there a desire? Is there a feeling that when I am sick, somebody will bring me soup? I'm not left in a soup when I'm sick. Is that feeling there? That is what, if that feeling is even there on a subtle level, then it's not an unconditional act of love or compassion. Unconditional means there is just not even a thought that goes into it. It just happens. And so Adi Shankara is the abode of reigning compassion, a compassion that is uninhibited like a downpour. Under the certain circumstances, atmospheric circumstances, the rain just rains. And the nice thing about rain is that it doesn't say, I will rain on this tree and I will not rain on that tree. It's unconditional. It rains everywhere. Unless you're standing under a lead umbrella, it will rain on you also. It will rain everywhere. And so here, the master, Adi Shankara, Bhagavan Adi Shankara, is raining his compassion on all beings indiscriminately. And speaking of raining, it appears that what Totakacharya has in mind is the famous story of Adi Shankara in the, talked about in the biography Shankara Vijaya, Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya. And what is that? He goes to the bhiksha in a poor woman's house. A poor woman invites him for bhiksha. And she's so indigent. When he goes there, no food, no dessert, nothing. Not even some few grains of rice. What she offers him on an earthen plate is a dried gooseberry, amla. No, this gooseberry you cannot eat like that. It has to be either salted, put in a pickle, or put in some kind of morabba like sugar. Then only it is palatable. Otherwise, it is so astringent. Your mouth becomes like that if you eat it. Permanent selfie face. It just becomes, like a beak. You cannot eat it. And that too dried. And possibly it was not from her tree because maybe it was from the neighbor's tree that dropped in her yard. So she saw Adi Shankara pass by her house. She didn't have any kind of calculated motive. She just saw this holy being of light pass by her house, and she immediately did namaskar to him and invited him to come. It was just a spontaneous act. And then she said, what can I give him? Here, please take this gooseberry. And everybody, of course, an exalted teacher like Adi Shankara will always be surrounded by people. And then all the people might have just, if not laughed outright, they would have at least snickered inside. They would have snickered at this, what is this? Such a big person, and you're giving him a gooseberry. What's wrong with you? They would have thought, even if they not have expressed it aloud. And then what? Then, Adi Shankara takes in the situation. He takes in the situation, and he knows that her house is just so bare. Her life is bare. And she looked malnourished, perhaps. And then spontaneously, a composition arose out of him. This is the reigning compassion, really. And it is still available to us today. Kanakadhara Stotra. Kanakadhara Stotra means the praise song, the song, the shloka of raining gold. Where is this gold that is raining? Because as soon as he started to chant this stotra, which arose out of him extempore, they say it started to rain golden gooseberries all around the yard of this woman. And there was no calculation. Oh, Adi Shankara did not say, oh, I think I'll go here and impress a few people. See, I can make it rain golden gooseberries. Let me try and do this. Then perhaps people will learn, study Vedanta. Nothing. It was not even for the sake of Vedanta, not even for the sake of his fame. Far from it. He just composed. And her own bhakti and shraddha in the form of the prayer with which she received him, and the humility and the devotion with which she presented unabashedly. There was no feeling like, okay, at least I can give him this gooseberry. That was all that she had. That was all she gave. But she gave with a sincere, devoted heart. That karma phala, the prayer, resolved into the results of action. And Adi Shankara's role here was just to bring about the results of action here that was already due to her because of her own bhakti and shraddha. It is just so beautiful. So it just rains, 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 golden gooseberries. Not only she is enriched, everybody also who's there pockets a few gooseberries and tucks it into their dhotis and saris, I'm sure. Everybody went home very happy with some gooseberries in tow. This is what happens. Golden gooseberries, regular gooseberries, who cares? That is there on the roadside. Golden gooseberries. And if somebody was already a very rich, it's a memento. You don't have to cash it in. And then you can live to tell the tale to your children and grandchildren. Adi Shankara's manifest gooseberry. Like this. So this is, so he's probably thinking of this on the Vyavaharika level, on the level of the transactional empirical reality. This tale is coming to his mind, perhaps. This story that is associated with Bhagavan Adi Shankara is coming to his mind, and he's delighting in alluding to it. Look at this instance of you raining compassion. When you can make it rain golden gooseberries, oh Guru, oh preceptor, oh teacher of mine, then certainly you can do something small for me. I don't want golden gooseberries. I neither want a golden goose nor the golden gooseberries. What do I want? I want your protection. And here, before we start jumping into conclusion that he's asking the Guru to save him, we have to just read the second line. There is no savior mentality on part of Totaka. It is just, if anything is there, it is more of an attitudinal thing. It's a bhavana, it's a devotional attitude here. Palaya mam, please protect me. I want to come under your refuge. Here, if the Guru stands for the knowledge, then the protection is also sought from the knowledge. The knowledge is the, is the trata. The knowledge is the trata. The knowledge is the pada. Patru, tratru. This is the, what is that? This is the agent now. The knowledge is the protector. The knowledge, if anything, is the savior that saves you from your own worst, what should I say, inclinations. That saves you, helps you to come out of this from your own ignorance. That protects you. That protects you how? By removing the ignorance, which is the cause of self-loath, which is the cause of fear, which are the cause of tears, which is the cause of all afflictions. So he's not asking the Guru from the standpoint of, having some kind of a spiritual romanticism. The Guru will take care of my credit card debt. The Guru will take care of everything. The Guru will protect me. And, some kind of a, what is that, Bollywood type spiritual romanticism. That is not what is going on here. In fact, the message is very clear. The vision of Vedanta is that there is no saving needed because you are not under any kind of an onslaught. The onslaught of Ajnanam, thankfully, Atma Ajnanam is an as though onslaught. Ajnanam itself is as though, it's an interloper. Where did it come from? We don't know. Anadi. It doesn't have a beginning. Oh, it is beginningless? Yes. That means it is endless? No. It doesn't have a beginning because, if Ajnanam has a beginning, then we will be permanently ignorant. That means what? Ajnanam has a beginning. Then it comes to an end. And then after that again, it will begin. That which has a beginning can keep on beginning endlessly. Therefore, we say anadihi. Doesn't have a beginning. Why? Because it really is not there. You can only trace the origins of something that exists and something that has come. But here there is no coming. There is only going, because that which has come, so to speak, again within apostrophes, that which has somehow arrived is an interloper. It, unlike an eclipse, you can't say start time, end time, and the whole the covering time, the maximum peak time. That is not there for Ajnana. It is sneaky, it is here, but since it is based on mistaken notion, there is nothing really, it doesn't have a leg to stand on. It is part of mithya, the world of dependent reality. It is a dependent reality, dependent on I, Satchidananda Atma. So the Ajnanam doesn't have a leg to stand on. It is here, but it is not here to stay. It causes problems as long as I think it to be paramarthika. As long as I invest it with an existence it doesn't have, then it causes problems. But here, Totakacharya calls the bluff when he says, Palayamam, please protect me from this interloper, from this imposter, which attaches to the ahankara, so to speak, which associates itself with the ahankara, the leading one to say, I am ... ignorant. That ignorance is claimed as an inherent attribute of the I due to the wrong identification. And that wrong identification, when it is removed, then what happens? Then there is great, that is when we say there is jnanam. Jnanam was always there. It is eclipsed, as it were. And so, please protect me by removing this ignorance. Who is this me? Bhavasagara dukkha viduna hridam. Viduna hridam means afflicted. Dunoti, du, fifth conjugation, afflicted. The one whose heart is completely in pain and sorrow. Dukkha. Dukkhena viduna hrit. Dukkha viduna hrit. Bhavasagarasya dukkhena viduna hrit tam. So the me who is afflicted by samsara, by the sorrows of samsara, whose heart is repeatedly broken by the sorrows of samsara, please protect me. And who are you? Who is protecting? The one who is raining compassion. You see, there is another meaning to the storehouse of raining compassion in the first line. And what is that? For a Vedanta teacher like Adi Shankara or any Vedanta teacher requires one requirement for being a Vedanta teacher is that one has to command a lot of compassion. The occupation itself is like that. One has to command a lot of compassion, because what is at stake here is the removal of something that doesn't really exist. How are you going to do that other than have compassion? The person is ajnana sarpa dashtaha. He has been attacked and bitten. Dashtaha, bitten by the snake. Ajnana snake. Bitten by the snake of ajnanam, or ignorance. Self-ignorance is a snake, has bitten this person. Forget the snake representing self-ignorance. Just take our regular Vedanta snake. What snake is that? Rope snake. So then, the person comes in all agitated, jumping up and down, cannot even talk, out of breath. And when you are able to get a few words out of them, the person is telling you, I have been bitten by a snake. Eek! Terrible, I'm going to die. I think it was a cobra. I saw it. It had a split tongue and it was going like this, and then it bit me. And then the body is examined. Where? No fang marks, no teeth marks, nothing. And then the next, still the person is very agitated. Pupils are dilated in the midst of a terrible, whether snake bite or not, but definitely a panic attack. And then what? Then you take the person out into the garden and then say, show me the snake. Where is the snake? And the person happily points to a rope with a frayed edge like this. So it's not the snake that has made the person afraid. It's the frayed rope that has made the person frayed, pun intended. The person is frayed, the rope is frayed, everyone is afraid. And then, until they see what is it that did the biting. And then what does the person have to do? The person, you cannot say, come on. You cannot laugh it off, because the person is in the middle of a panic attack. Like even Arjuna at the end of the first chapter is having a panic attack. His pupils are dilated. He's feeling feverish. He's starting to see things that don't exist. He's having hallucinations. He says all these things. Tvakcha paridahyate. Gandivam samsrate hastat. My hands are perspiring. Everything is in the middle of a full-blown panic attack. And so therefore what? You have to have some compassion for the person, even though you know the person is not in danger. The teacher knows the person is not in danger, but the teacher has to go through the motions and say, yes, the samsara snake has bitten you. Here, have some water. And here, sit down, take some deep breaths. That is pranayama, okay? And do some yoga, yogic breathing, alternate nostril breathing. Some sadhana is given. Meditate, close your eyes, shut the world out. These are all some sadhanas given by the teacher, because the student is not ready for the knowledge, because in the grip of a panic attack. And then finally, when the student calms down, then the teacher, and then in between, the teacher makes a few jokes to lighten the mood, to take the mind off of this snake that is there in the psyche of the student, lodged, not going. The student is having PTSD, remembering a non-existent snake, keeping on having repeated trauma because of something that doesn't really exist. And if you, as the teacher, if you were the teacher in the situation and you made fun of the student, you say, come on, get over it, then that is not the definition of the Vedanta teacher. If you are a Vedanta teacher, you have to command the ability to have this compassion, to have an extra compassion, and to be able to rain indiscriminately on this student and all other students who come to you with such a with such a impossible scenario. How can you be bitten by a non-existent snake? Can't you see that it is a rope? Can't you see that the whole world is just aropita? It is an aropa on this Satchidananda Atma that is free of all aropa. Can't you see this? You cannot say. First, you have to calm the person down. You have to show them some ways to, what is that? Skills. You have to show them some skills of being able to calm themselves down. And then you give the knowledge again without judgment and without compassion. Because how are you going to judge? Who are you going to judge? Everybody is in the same boat. That is why the compassion is needed. So this is the first day of the Vedanta teacher's life. Okay. Then the second day, another student comes, something bit me. It's not a snake. Oh, thank God. What is it then? A scorpion, a crab, an alligator. Still you have to have the same compassion. Third day, day 3, the same student comes and says, I was being bitten by a snake. That's when, your nerves can get frayed. But if you are like Adi Shankara, you will rain compassion indiscriminately. So the Vedanta teacher has to be compassionate because, as a Vedanta teacher, one is removing a problem that really doesn't exist. So you have to believe in a problem that doesn't exist, and then you have to act as though you are removing it. And then that doesn't work. And then you see, this is what happens, And whenever we used to ask Pujya Swamiji, what is the secret to you being such a good teacher, such a wonderful teacher? He would say, it's all because of you. It's all because of all of you. And then we would feel so wonderful. Oh, it's because of us. He's a great teacher. How? Please tell. And that was just the beginning. Then he would say, whenever I saw non-comprehension on your faces, then it inspired me to use new examples, new analogies, new ways of connecting the dots, new ways of giving this knowledge. Because, I would see every day, if nobody is following anything that I say. And still I taught 5 decades of 6 decades of teaching. Same thing. Same Totakashtakam. You give it to him today, he would teach it with the same enthusiasm, the same fervor, the same joy. And then again somebody would say, I want to learn Totakashtakam. Again he would teach it. Same thing. He would not say, oh, I taught it last year, and then you go listen to that or go read the book. No. Same thing. It was very touching to see Pujya Swamiji in action. It was wonderful. I'll never forget this. One time we were sitting after class, satsang, Rishikesh. And it was a cold morning. I still remember. After the morning class, we were sitting with Swamiji in his little audience room. And then the person who takes care of the electrical stuff came in. And he said, can I also ask a question? Which is Swamiji was very happy. And he said, yes, please come and sit. Because you see, there was some electrical problem in the lecture hall. And we all recalled that day the man had come for about 10 minutes to fix something that was not working. Maybe a light or something. I don't remember the details. And then so he had listened for about 10 minutes. His English was particularly not that good. And Pujya Swamiji taught in English. And so he asked in Hindi, Puchna chahta hu, I want to ask something. And then he said, he asked a very interesting question. He said, yes, Svatasiddha Atma kya hota hai? What is this self-evident I that you kept on talking about in class when I was there? And Pujya Swamiji's Hindi, just like this man's English was almost non-existent. And he would always, Pujya Swamiji would always joke. And when he was asked, do you know Hindi? Aapko Hindi aati hai? People would ask. And Pujya Swamiji would say, kabhi kabhi Hindi aati hai, kabhi kabhi Hindi aata hai. Meaning he would use the wrong gender, and then he would just joke about it. And then he would just say that, Hindi is a very difficult language because of this masculine and feminine. Everything is either masculine or feminine. It's very difficult to figure it out. And he would say, That you see, you think you got Hindi, but then you don't have it at all. You know, chawal, for example, is masculine. But then you mix it with some dal and make khichdi, but then it becomes feminine. So, मैंने चावल खाया, you say, but then you say, मैंने खिचड़ी खाई. So, that's why he said, this Hindi is beyond me. It was not very fluent in Hindi. But then, the way he explained this to him, all of us were in tears. We were not in tears because we were in tears because we could see this compassion flowing through him, to take the time to explain to a person who is working in the ashram staff person, who has a lot of reverence but not enough time and perhaps not the interest to pursue this knowledge. And even him, somebody who may never come again, he took it very seriously. And then he simply said, you see me standing, you see me sitting here. Yes, I see you standing here. Says, what do you see? Says, you see my body, you see, and if you could read my mind, you would say, Swamiji is thinking this and that. But you don't really see me because that is you. And he said it so beautifully and so much love. Every word was an embrace. Every word reached out and hugged this man. And in hugging this man, it hugged all of us. It embraced all of us. And then afterwards, I saw another lady who was present at this satsang. Go tell that man, can you come to satsang every day and ask a question? Because we have never studied Vedanta like this. Swamiji has never taught us like this. Of course, he had taught us like this also, but sometimes, when you see that compassion in action, that is what it is. This is what the Vedanta teacher is. The ability to transform hearts is there. It is never taken for granted. And the teaching is always custom made and custom crafted. It is never a one for all, one for all, one method for all. The pedagogy is alive. The pramana is being handled. It is keeping on being given to the person, in certain matra, in certain measure, how they can assimilate. Like a mother who has many children, who knows how much this child will eat, what does this child like, and what method can I use to make this child eat the food. This one is cranky, that one doesn't need much attention, it will eat on its own. This one has a delicate stomach, cannot assimilate too much at a time. And how should I do that? So Pujya Swamiji became a mother in that. And every Swami, of any worth is a mother, really, even if they are men. They may have long beards, but that functional mothering is there, because that love and compassion just overflows. And in that overflowing, anybody, as I said earlier, who's not standing under a lead umbrella is blessed. If you're standing under a lead umbrella and then you say, everybody else is being rained on by love, I am the only one who's not getting a hug. That's why I have to practice hugging myself. That's actually a good practice. But still, this feeling of being deprived of the love of the Guru is a problem of Atma Ajnana. It shows at the very best, it shows that there is not enough space that has been made in the heart for the compassion to reign. It shows that one is covered by this lead umbrella, representing the stubborn I notion, the ahankara that has some issues with the teaching, and if not with the teaching, with the teacher. We talked about it yesterday. Authority issues, mummy, daddy issues that have to be resolved. Ishvara issues. That's why one has to settle accounts with Ishvara. Some ability to be able to put to rest all those notions must be there. And then, then one opens the heart to the knowledge. And the teacher who is so compassionate that not only will they give the teaching, but they will also assist in this opening, like Pujya Swamiji did for all of us that day through the answering the electrician's question is just. So that is the compassion. That is the compassion. Compassion doesn't mean doing whatever the student asks you to do. That's not compassion. Compassion sometimes takes very difficult forms. And that also I can tell you. Another example from Pujya Swamiji's life. I was with him in Delhi. We had traveled from Rishikesh to Delhi for a conference. And then another brahmachari who wanted to be there and had asked Swamiji, shall I come? And Swamiji said, no, you stay here and study. You're not going to come. But his desire to be at the conference just made him so overwrought that he caught the bus and came a little later. We arrived in the afternoon and he arrived that night. And being the honest man that he was, he came, he showed himself, he did pranams to Pujya Swamiji. And Pujya Swamiji did not say one word, not even one word. And he just ignored him for the first 1.5 days. Just ignored him totally for one or 1.5. The whole next day he ignored him. Now, a very interesting aside story from this brahmachari's life. His parents were in Delhi. And his parents were totally against him studying Vedanta. And of course, the parents got wind of and they were also overprotective and did not allow him a lot of freedom. Somehow, with great difficulty, he had managed to escape this and come and study. And so the parents showed up the next day. And the parents said to Swamiji, we are taking him back with us, because the father was a rich, very big businessman. And the mother, started the waterworks. She started to cry and weep right there. It was a big drama just 15 minutes before the next session that Pujya Swamiji was about to lead. And we were all feeling anxious. What will happen? What will happen to our brother, this brahmachari? What will happen to him? And Pujya Swamiji didn't say anything to the parents. This man is also standing there with a head hanging like this. Pujya Swamiji said, he says, do you know why I asked you not to come? That is what Pujya Swamiji said. And he said, yeah, now I can see, after seeing this drama, parents, relatives, about 10 people came from the extended family in order to gang up and take him back, And then, so when I asked you not to come and you came, what is the only thing left to do? Pujya Swamiji bellowed, talked very loudly. And then, and then somebody else, not the brahmachari in question, but somebody else said, go back? Question mark. Pujya Swamiji said, yes, why are you standing here? Go back. I don't know. This man was from a protected family. So he said, I don't know the time of the next bus. I don't know where to go. Just how you came, you went, go. And he said, bus, jao, get going. And the parents couldn't do anything. Right in front of them, he took his bag and then was off to Rishikesh. This is also an act of compassion, and just beautiful compassion. And that is why the Vedanta teacher has to be just overflowing in compassion, a compassion that is tailor-made to the situation, to the person that that is the recipient. And a spontaneous, unplanned compassion whose bounds are just not there. For who? For the person afflicted by some sorrow or the other. That is what is called samsara. And if we just sit here, I really feel if we just sit here and just tell Pujya Swamiji stories, the essence of this Totakashtaka is very well internalized. Very well internalized. Nothing else needs to be said. So this is a way of consoling everybody who's wondering we haven't even gotten through verse number 2. And it's also a way of consoling myself. It will be done, don't worry. It's also a way of telling myself that we will finish the text, don't worry. I don't know how, but we will finish it. Bhagavan is there, it will happen. So then, for me, who is afflicted by wrong notions, it is samsara, taking myself to be small, taking myself to be incomplete, taking myself to be imperfect, self blame, self loathe, fears, tears, all this is samsara in essence. So, through the one that is blown away literally by samsara, please rain your compassion so that samsara can be removed for me, and the I can be protected. What I? Satchidananda I can be protected, so to speak. It doesn't need to be protected, but it can be the ahankara can be tethered from attacking this knowledge, and from second guessing. I can no longer be in a situation where I second guess my identity, so that I can be in the flow of this knowledge and compassion just like you. And how to do that also he gives in the third line. How should you do this? How should you do this? He gives the method also. Rachaya, create, mam rachaya, that mam has to be brought down again. Anuvritti has to take place, the mam in the first line. Mam rachaya, make me. Make me what? Make me Akhila Darshana Tattvavit. Make me the knower of all the darshanas, all the contending, competing ways of looking at this one thing, which is Ishvara, which is I. So there is Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Bauddha, all these things are various Sankhya, and two kinds of Sankhya darshanas. What is that? Nirishwara Sankhya, Seshwara Sankhya, all these things are there. So the logician who tries to derive Ishvara through a logical equation, and the Sankhya who says there are two elements, and then because of the interaction of these two elements, the birth of the Jagat takes place. And then what are these two elements? Well, one of them doesn't act. So if Purusha doesn't act, how does this world come into being? They have no answer. And why there is two? How did the one become two? They have no answer. And so like this, all these matas means these competing wrong ways of knowing. If you show me, make me an expert in discerning the wrong ways of knowing, then I am automatically protected from all the wrong thoughts, either individually arising from myself or collective wrong thoughts. When a group of wrong thinking people get together, chaos ensues, because we have Charvaka Mata. You are as good as this body. Eat, drink, be merry, and borrow a lot against your credit card, because who is going to come back to repay this? You are not accountable. What papa shmapa, punya munya, nothing is there. Do as you want. All these are wrong thinkings. And in fact, 9/10 of Vedanta is removing the wrong thinking. That is why we read and study other darshanas. This was a way of collectively disengaging from wrong thinkings. Even now we have so many. Those darshanas were the Purva Paksha, or the wrong thinking at the time of Adi Shankara. Now also we have so many wrong thinkings. So, capitalism, consume everything, all the things in the universe are made for my consumption. And the definition of success is accumulation and hoarding of so many things. And the definition of success is to be able to put somebody else down. These are all the current collective wrong thinkings. And then when I come out of this wrong thinking, Atma will show itself effortlessly, because the wrong thinkings, the wrong matas at the individual and collective level become so many ways of obstructing the eye from showing itself. So Darshana, all the way different ways of thinking about this which are wrong. Tattvavit. So make me the knower of the essence of all the wrong thinking. Tattva is here essence. So, and then another meaning, make me the expert in knowing the wrong thinkings, and then being a tattvavit, being the expert in the correct way of unfolding this knowledge. Connect me to the correct manifestation of this knowledge. Rachaya. How? Just by compassion. He's not saying it in a dysfunctional way. I want you to take some special classes for me. Night and day, I want to sit with you. Other students are having 2 classes a day. I want 10. No demands. You just continue what you're doing. Keep raining. Keep raining your compassion, whether it's in the form of an electrician's question or gooseberries. I will learn. Just bless me so that I'm open to this. Bless me so that my heart is transformed and so that I can see the error, not only the error of my ways, but the error of the ways of the entire contemporary culture. And so that I can emerge from that and be Vedanta Tattvavit, so that I can be the Upanishad Tattvavit, so that I can understand this. Hey Bhava Shankara, oh Shankara, who is the embodiment of Lord Shiva, Bhava Shankara, one meaning. Hey Bhava Shankara, hey Bhavataraka Shankara, the one who helps me cross over sorrow. Deshika, the one who indicates the Atma Tattva by the teaching, whose teaching unfold the truth of the I through the indicatory words of the Upanishad. Me Sharanam, you are my only refuge. More we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. If there are any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask, because I don't know if there is any kind of a chat pod here. I'm not seeing.
Yeah. Why the word vidun is used here?
Yeah, vidun is passive participle of do, the one to afflict. Vidunaha means afflicted. Visheshena dunaha, specially afflicted, completely afflicted. Yeah. Du is the 5th conjugation. Dunoti. Dunoti. 5th conjugation. Dunoti is that is what it is. Yeah.
So uplifting is used in both cases.
Not uplift.
Going
No, not uplift. Afflict. Affect.
afflict. Okay, I got it. Got it. Yeah, that's where I was getting confused.
Yeah, yeah.
Afflicted.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, got it.
Affected, afflicted,
Yeah,
not
got it.
uplifted.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, one is not uplifted by samsara. No. That would be a mistake.
Yeah, got it.
Nothing uplifting about samsara, but
Samsara, yes. Yes.
affected by samsara,
Yeah,
totally
got it.
uplifted.
Yeah, my mind was just listening all the time, uplifting, how it's
Yeah,
connecting.
no, that is what it is.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Yeah, it is very nice. Oh.
I really like that Bhavat Madhyama Pada Lopa.
Bhavataraka Shankara. Yes. Yeah. All Pujya Swamiji only. What do I have to say about it that he has it already said? Nothing.
So beautiful.
It is.
Om Swamiji.
Om. All the best. See you tomorrow.
Swamiji.
Oh.
Namaskar, Swamiji.
Yeah, Janani, please send me the recorded link when you get it, okay? Please email it to me. Put it in Dropbox for safekeeping and email me the link, okay?
I will do that, Swamini.
Oh.
Namaste, Janani.
Namaste.
Oh. All the best. Take care.
Thank you. Night.